All right, let's talk about the GED social studies test. A lot of people find it tricky, but I'm going to let you in on a secret. It's not as hard as you think if you know what to avoid. So let's get right into it. Look, here's the deal. Most people who don't pass this test stumble on the exact same three things. They're super common mistakes, but you know what? They're also super avoidable. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how to dodge them so you can walk into that test with confidence. Okay, mistake number one. I call this one the date trap. This is where you get completely bogged down trying to memorize every single date in history. You're making flashcards for, I don't know, the War of 1812, the French Revolution, and your brain just feels like it's going to explode. But here's the thing. The GED social studies test, it's not a trivia game, it's a reasoning test. They don't really care if you know the exact year something happened. What they really want to see is if you understand why it happened and how it changed things. So, what's the fix? It's simple. You've got to focus on cause and effect. Instead of just memorizing a date, think about the story. What caused the American Revolution? And what happened because of it? Connect the dots. If you can explain the story behind the events, you are golden. All right, let's talk about the second major pitfall, the civics gap. And trust me, this one is a huge deal. This is what happens when you pour all your energy into history and basically ignore, or even worse, completely skip the whole civics and government part. I want you to look at this number, 50%. Just let that sink in for a second. That is not a small slice of the pie, my friend. That's a massive, massive piece of your final score. And what does it represent? Well, it represents exactly half of the test. You heard me right. 50% of the questions are on civics and government. The other 50% is, well, everything else. History, economics, geography, all bundled together. Let me just say it plain. Civics is half the test. Skip it, and you're in serious trouble. It's like showing up to a championship game and leaving half your team in the locker room. You just can't win that way. So the fix here is pretty clear, right? You've got to know the basics of how the government works. I'm talking about the simple stuff, the three branches, checks and balances, and what your rights are as a citizen. You don't need to be a lawyer, but you do need to get these core ideas down. And that brings us to our third and final mistake. I call this the reading riddle. Now, this one isn't so much about what you've studied, it's about how you actually handle the test itself. So many people just freeze up when they see those long passages of text. You've seen these, right? They'll give you a couple of paragraphs about, say, the Industrial Revolution, and then ask you to find the main idea or the author's opinion. It can feel like you're searching for a needle in a haystack, but there's a trick to it. And here's the trick. You got to think of the GED as an open book test. Seriously, they give you all the information you need to answer the question. The answer is literally right there on the screen. Your job isn't to have it all memorized. Your job is to be a detective and find the clues. So the fix is this amazing, simple strategy. Scan and eliminate. First, always read the question. Figure out what you're looking for. Then, scan the text for key words from the question. Once you find that spot, you can easily knock out the answer choices that are obviously wrong. Practice this, and I promise those big, scary paragraphs won't seem so scary anymore. Okay, so we've broken down the three biggest traps that could fail you. Now, let's pull it all together. Here's your new game plan. This is it, your three-step plan for crushing this test. Number 1, ditch the dates and focus on cause and effect, the story. Number 2, master the civics basics, because it's literally half the test. And number 3, get really good at that scan and eliminate strategy. That's your recipe for success. All right, I've got a question for you all. We talked about the date trap, the civics gap, and the reading riddle. Out of those 3, which one do you think is the most common mistake people make? Let me know what you think. Drop your guess in the comments. So just remember, by dodging these 3 mistakes, you are way ahead of the game. You know the traps, and now you have the tools to beat them. If you're feeling even a little bit more confident for test day, go ahead and hit that like button. And make sure you subscribe because we've got plenty more tips coming your way. You can do this.